Looks like it feels like a mask.
Okay, we're here. You want to?
No, go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay,
See,
fine.
we're back.
Hey, I'm Bruce Broussard, the IPO, one of the producers here at. Was it One Signal? Is that what it is? I mean, I'm
Open
always
Signal?
Geez, Open Signal. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
we still haven't gotten over that,
I,
have we?
I haven't got. I won't get over it. Trust me,
Okay.
right up front with you. I mean, I'll just be right up front with you about this piece.
Well,
you
you can relax. There's one thing, if you know, there is a signal station out in North Portland that's open.
Open.
Yeah, it's
In
open.
North Portland.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but
But it was supposed to be an Oregon Public Broadcast, not
No,
Portland Community Media.
That's a different company.
Yeah, it's a whole different deal.
Yeah,
I must have interviewed in the wrong
we can't
chap.
get it right this time.
See, that's what's brought on this whole confusion stuff.
Yeah.
With all this other stuff, you don't know what's going on. Anyway, long and short of it, hey folks, we've got quite a show here for you tonight. What is the big one? Probably one of the biggest issues that's being talked about here in the Portland metropolitan area. And that is the fact that the Mayor Ted Wheeler, identified his chief of police. I said identified. And basically presented the fact that he selected someone for his chief of police. But there are some things about that piece. First off, the person has to be vetted, or if not that, background check.
Are they still doing that?
The background check, and what's interesting about it, and they're doing it in Salem. The highway, is it the highway
Oregon
police,
State
Oregon State Police
yeah.
are doing the background check. Well, normally Portland Police normally does that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? And then we want to talk about it. We just want to just lay it on the table in terms, hopefully give you a little history in terms of how we got there. Remember now, when Don and I were running for office, we were running for mayor aspect of it. He was the chief. He was my chief. We had a team thing going aspect of it. He has background in police work, and good background police work, besides the fact he's published a book and he sort of opened up folks' eyes in terms of what police work was all about, doing his venture. So that's why he's here. It's very, very important. And Natural Teresa is here because she also, too, as a result of editing and getting involved in this whole process, she brings a lot of resources to the table also, too. And that was why I sort of made that selection process aspect of it. Because police has always been a major issue within the country, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And since we are focusing on Portland, Oregon, and Oregon aspect of it, I thought it was very, very important to just, make sure that was part of the platform, which we did. And Mayor Wheeler, who had not had any background, if you will, in police work, sure, he's run for office in several different areas, and too often that's normally what happens with a lot of times with folks who are running for office. They really don't have that background on another thing. But again, but the fact of the matter is that he was a pretty popular guy. He had served in two major areas, one Multnomah County and one as treasurer, right? And then he's coming over here running for mayor. But when he was running for mayor, he was not considered to be a likable person, if you will, a knowledgeable person from the Portland Police Department, because they did not endorse him at the time. They endorsed, if you will, this young man from. He was a county commissioner, and they endorsed him. And I'm still wondering what was his background in police work. Whereas on the other hand, we had background.
Well, I don't have any background in police work.
No, I'm talking about Don and I. Yeah, Don had background, and not naturally as a former jar head. It is a sort of a paramedic.
Yeah.
But my point is that we tried to get the conversation, and I think we did a good job, Don. You did a good job on that piece. But anyway, long and short of it all, there's been all kinds of issues talking about police here in the city of Portland. There's been protests. There's been all kinds of things, if you will. And there's the police union with Daryl Turner. And that's another issue aspect of it. There's been always the quote about who runs the city. Portland Police runs the city, and then at the same time, the mayor is supposed to be the commanding chief, if you will, of the police department. And then you got the chief of police, who's basically supposed to be the chief of police of the troops.
That's right.
It's a military kind of a deal aspect of it. But there's a certain amount of divide there between the chief, when he works for the mayor, and the police union. So there's a little confusion there. So I'm just throwing some of this history stuff out that's on the minds of a lot of folks. You got me?
Yeah.
But we still respect the police force. That's a tough job. That's a very tough job. But you do need leadership. And the chain of command is kind of like a paramilitary group anyway. we all understand the chain of command if we're military type routine, and the CEO, like I said, the chief officer, is the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the chief of police, who basically that's the chief of police of the people on the ground. But the people hired the mayor through the vote aspect of it. So he represents the people.
The problem is Ted Wheeler doesn't have any background in law enforcement.
Well, that's true. But again, like I said, he's still the mayor in
Yeah.
terms of the process aspect of it.
Yeah.
So there's been sort of a divide, and so all of a sudden he was left behind, if you will, with the chief that was there when he got elected. Was it Marshman?
Marshman, yeah.
Marshman.
Mike Marshman.
Yeah, in fact, Charlie Hale basically picked him before he left.
Yeah.
So there was Ted, and then the police union identified with him,
Yeah.
and then there was a divide there. But Wheeler made a commitment when he ran for office that he was going to go outside and get a police chief.
Yeah.
Basically, what he was saying is, I'm going to get someone that's going to work for me and do as I'm told,
Right.
do as they're told, because there's a divide. So I'm throwing some, but please jump in and
That's a big
interject.
divide.
There's a big divide.
And what I've read is Daryl Turner's not happy with the selection of Danielle Outlaw because he wanted Marshman to stay, which I understand. You know, the problem is she's not from Portland. She doesn't know Portland's history. She's going to have to start reading some history books.
Well, but at the same time,
She's a
when-
long ways away.
but at the
Might
same
have been
time-
from Florida.
these chiefs are always being recruited all over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're recruiting all kinds of people, and you're right. I mean, you would think, but that's an administrative position.
Yeah.
See, and hopefully Don can speak to that. The chief is not recognized as actually dealing with the troops as much as he should be in terms of. Don, what do you think about something?
The police are administrators, but still they need to get down on the street and know what's going on.
Exactly.
What she needs to do is she needs to do nothing for 3 or 4 months just to see what's going on. And then after she feels comfortable with what's going on in the Bureau, then she needs to start making some changes.
Right.
Because the police bureau needs to be reorganized.
You said that.
The problem with this person is not that she's not probably qualified and she has the proper master's degrees and all those things, but
She's
the
going to
problem
classes.
is
Okay.
she's not from here.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the problem. So
Yeah.
she's not a native. She doesn't know who Bruce Broussard is.
Yep.
She doesn't
Yeah.
know who Greg McKelvey is. She doesn't know who Donald DuPay is.
Right.
She doesn't know who these
Teresa,
people
yep,
are.
Ignorance, yep.
I'm nobody.
And she doesn't know the mood of the city.
Yeah.
Now, it's my
Yeah.
understanding that she's not going to come on until
Right.
October.
Second.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go along all summer long on an interim chief, and she's going to miss out on the entire long hot summer here in Portland, and she will take over in October when it's nice and cool. So everything that happened all summer will be somebody else's fault. And then in October she can start knowing the city,
Yeah.
and that's what she needs to do, because she's not from here.
But at the same time,
It would be like me going to Oakland
Right.
and trying to take over their police department
Right.
Yeah.
and knowing the mood of the city and who the players are, who the gangsters are, who the good guys are. You can't do that. That's just wrong.
But then,
Now that has
Don,
nothing to do with being an administrator.
I agree. But Don, at the same time, aren't policemen respected throughout the United States?
No.
The brothers
Not
and
anymore.
sisters.
Not anymore.
Okay, all right. I want to throw that out.
She is qualified, though,
Okay,
and
but
she's
she's
a
qualified.
veteran. She's
But-
got 19 years as a police
Right.
officer.
But at the same time, maybe some things could have been done early on, meaning that maybe, and this is just some suggestion we're talking, maybe the mayor might have suggested, if you will, once he picked her, say, well, look here, I'll tell you what we'll do. I've got an acting chief here. Why don't we bring him on as a deputy? Bring him on as a deputy chief. He was one that was picked out and endorsed by the police union. So if he was there as a deputy chief, or better yet, even
Not going to happen.
and even well, I'm just saying,
Not gonna
if that had happened, or if not that, to get this divide thing about the definition of who runs the city, maybe get another deputy. His name is Daryl Turner.
Yeah.
There's no,
Make them the. So now you got 2 deputy chiefs that has been endorsed by the line troops. They know the city, right? Very much aware. She's an administrator. The mayor's here, and he basically gives orders saying, "Look, this is what I want to do," and basically they're the two there. Do your job, because you know when you go to a base, when you go to another base, and you got a CO that's been there for about 3 years, and all of a sudden he gets changed, and someone else come in there. Trust me, you treat that person like he's been there forever.
No.
Ideally,
Marshman is not. Marshman is not going to stick around and take second.
Well, I understand he
second
resigned.
fiddle.
I understand he resigned.
Yeah, he did resign.
And he should have.
He resigned. He resigned.
Yeah.
But why not? I mean, wait a
but
minute.
for
now.
him to
Wait a
stick
minute.
around
But she's a policeman
Be a
and a
deputy
woman
chief. Yeah,
and a
okay.
minority woman. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, what's wrong with
We
that?
should give her a chance.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And the other
If
thing
she
is,
was from here, I'd be a lot happier.
But see, she didn't choose herself.
yeah,
The mayor chose her
Yeah.
because he wasn't getting the cooperation from the line troops. So guess what, Don? You do the same thing.
I think that he chose her because he wanted a person of color and a woman. Because if he had chosen any of the other the qualified applicants, and if they, white men, the activists in town would have been screaming and yelling, another white man, we want somebody. And that's a valid consideration, I think that she is qualified. I think we should definitely give her a chance. She's going to have a good relationship with Daryl Turner.
How will
For
this,
sure.
How will the police force, how are they going to react to her?
Well, because they're mostly white men, it's going to be...
Yeah, but Daryl's black. Wait a minute now. Daryl's in charge. I mean, he's the guy that makes the decisions for the police department. Don?
She's a newcomer,
Don, I'm asking you a question.
and she's going to need to be reorganized, the police department, and if she doesn't, she's worthless, and if she does, they're going to hate her.
Yeah, but the mayor was the one that appointed
See,
her.
that's the other thing. That's the other thing. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, but everybody's
That's the life of every
But
cop.
everybody's focusing on her. She was selected by the mayor of the city.
Okay.
Right. To save his butt.
No, but still, I'm saying let's
And-
not focus too much on. She was selected by Mayor Wheeler,
And
Yeah.
and hey,
and now she's here.
She's here.
Now she's got problems.
Well, but guess what though? As I read in some of the background, some of the stuff that was out there on the news aspect of it, one of the things I saw, things like, for instance, she's going to live in Portland.
Right, in the city limits.
Some 70-some-odd% of those guys don't even live in the city.
Why should they?
Well, guess what? What about community policing, Don? Everybody keeps talking about this community policing stuff. I'd put the map of the city there, and I would
Well-
say, okay, fine, you stay here, you this, that, and the other, if you want to work for us.
It's actually a good point. And you know what? She could live in the city and be perfectly safe because Portland, Oregon today in 2017 is a very different Portland, Oregon than it was in the 60s. Now, when Don was a
She's a
cop in the
policeman, so don't worry about
60s,
being
cops
safe.
didn't live in Portland. They lived in Gresham because if it was anywhere in north or northeast, it was not safe. It was crime-ridden. It was run down. And that's one of the reasons he told me, he didn't live in the city, and neither did his friends and partners. They all lived in either Gresham or Beaverton, right?
Yeah, and that's basically why Chief Moose didn't succeed in his plan, move back into Portland, is because nobody but him wanted to move back into the ghetto.
But it was a
All
good
the
idea.
policemen.
That was a good idea.
It was a good
by
idea.
Moose.
It was
Yeah.
naive. It was a good idea, but it was naive. None of the policemen that work in that ghetto are going to move there. Because, number one, they're policemen, everybody knows who they are,
it's not
and
a
you're going to
ghetto.
endanger your
There's no
family.
ghetto anymore.
It
It's
was
not a ghetto,
then.
and it's
No,
not a
not
ghetto
now.
anymore.
It was then.
I
Not
know,
now.
I
The
know.
property right now, buddy,
It was
that's
then.
middle class all the
Right,
way.
right.
There's no such thing as a ghetto.
So she can live out in 162nd and Stock and still be in the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
But then
so-
Tom Potter tried it too.
so
former
she's-
chief,
Did he?
Yeah, former Chief Potter tried to do that. In fact, he came up with some monies, some grant monies, if anybody wanted to come and move.
Oh, yeah.
But see,
I remember that.
But under our regime, Don, you will be given orders. As far as I'm concerned, I would say point blank, from this day forward, once we've gotten elected, if you will, you're going to have to move in the city of Portland. We want to use you as a community policing thing because it does make sense. If they were driving a car, we'd allow them to drive their car home,
No.
and then those people within that particular area would be
No.
feeling very safe.
No.
Well,
Okay.
but the other consideration is that maybe Portland police officers don't want to live in the city of Portland because
No, wait a minute.
certain
Wait a
areas.
minute. Hey, wait. Hey, I'm paying you. Wait,
Right,
what
right.
are you coming with this? I don't want to live.
But-
You've got a job to do. Yeah, give me a.
However, they have
Richard's-
rights.
Rights.
They can't have their
Look,
boss.
wait a minute.
Their
wait a minute.
boss can't
I'm
tell
paying
them
the
where
taxes.
to live.
Wait a minute. I'm paying the taxes. A mayor is. I've elected this guy, even though I might not. We ran against him, but the bottom line is he's the mayor of the city of Portland.
Right.
I got to respect that. Okay. But I want him to do a job, and I'm saying, hey, look, I think the idea of getting the guys to be a part of the city, the Portland policemen,
Yeah.
and then you let them drive their cars home. I
No.
think it makes good sense, if you
Yeah,
will.
no, it don't.
You got my point? Well, people would feel safe if a guy's driving their car wouldn't they be serious? Well, you wouldn't. They're bogging. You're a foreign policeman. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to worry. I know the neighbors in your neighborhood are safe. I know that. Teresa tells me it all the time. She says, you don't have to worry about it. She can go around the store, no problem. No, but the point of the matter is,
Police
I'm
cars
still
need to be
going
in
back
place
to the
for
same deal. He's the mayor of the city of Portland. He made a selection because he was having these issues.
Yeah.
He's trying to say, okay, fine,
Okay,
I
but
want
now-
things to change.
Yeah.
And he went and hired someone. Naturally, this is the whitest city in the
Right,
country, in
right,
the world,
right.
the whitest city in Portland. So he figured, well, I'm gonna pick someone, a person of color, and I think that was kind of good. Now,
I do.
You know what I'm saying? And
I do too.
and in fact, before was it Bachman? I just keep forgetting the chief.
Oh,
Okay.
Marshman.
Marshman.
Yeah.
Marshman supposedly had been going out trying to recruit more minorities and women. I mean, hopefully
they
we'll
don't
get
know
to
how
a
to
point
recruit.
where they're just saying, we just want to hire some good policemen and this is the deal and keep on going and get people of color all in.
They don't know how to recruit
You
either.
know, they don't. I was a recruiter. I know they didn't know how to recruit. I'm a recruiter. But the bottom line is that, but the bottom line, I still go back to the same deal. She was picked by the mayor.
Okay.
Okay.
But now she's here. Now she's got a big job to do.
No.
and she's got a lot
The
of problems.
mayor has a big job of
Okay,
saying,
now.
this is, he's giving her orders. This is what I want you to do.
He doesn't know what to tell her to do. He doesn't.
Well,
See,
we-
that's the problem.
We didn't get into that.
That's the problem.
we get it. But you still
Believe me, the mayor does not know how to reorganize the police department.
Okay.
He doesn't.
Unless he's read my tome on it.
But the bottom line, yeah. Did you give him a book?
No, we
You
never-
didn't get a book. You didn't
No,
get
he
a,
wrote an essay about his 5-year reorganization.
I
of
remember
police,
that.
Various
I
ideas
remember that.
he
When he
had.
ran for sheriff, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
I mean, Don's got a lot of background. You
Yeah.
got my point. He's very familiar. He should have called. In fact, we talked about that. In fact, all the folks that ran, in all due respect, the mayor should have called him in
he
the
doesn't
office
care.
and chat about the issues that
I've
they were.
sent him 3 emails. He never responds.
Okay, yeah,
We're nobodies.
Richard, what do you say? We've been talking all this deal. What do you think about this deal?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still wondering. I remember a time, a few years back,
Yeah.
when I think it was a police chief lived down in Northeast, close in, and these cowardly people go down there and try to make a fuss down
That
there.
was Moose. That
Going-
was Charles
That
Moose.
was Moose.
Charles
Going
Moose. He was chief of
after
police. A black
responsible
guy.
people.
He was a black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going after responsible people because you're a protester. I think that's just cowardly.
Yeah.
And that's just-
And by the way, I might add that Moose was also one of the applicants. He was an
Oh.
applicant for the job. He
Oh,
came.
was he?
Yeah, he was an applicant
That's
for
why
the
he
job.
was in town.
Yes, he
I
was an
okay.
believe.
He was an applicant for the job.
Oh,
you know, and he was
wow.
there. I think it was number 4 or 5 or something like that.
Wow.
And they didn't select him. You know, and then you got to think about the politics of people.
He would have been good.
But bottom line is, it's like anything else.
Sure.
He has his definition and reputation. He's been here for a long time. He knows a lot about police, but a lot of the folks here didn't want him,
Right.
and so he could not relate to the mayor because the mayor said, "Look, I got a problem here. You got to run that department, and I want these things to happen. And can you do it?" And hey,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I can't do it.
We heard that rumor, but we weren't sure.
No, he was here.
We
He was
heard
here.
that he was-
He would have been a fine chief. In fact, that's one of the reasons why he left.
There was another applicant. I don't know if he was in the panel, but Mark DeLong would have been a really good chief. but
He's
he-
local.
Yeah, he's a white man with blonde hair and
Well,
blue
you know,
eyes.
But my point is,
Heck.
but he gets along. But evidently, does he get along with everybody?
Oh, everybody loves him.
Everybody loves him.
Well,
He's
why-
wonderful.
Yeah, but again,
he's
there-
retired from Portland and he's working in Gresham now.
Well,
because
there's
he
another.
loves the job.
There's another deputy chief. Again, I'm just trying to share. I'm just sharing with the mayor.
Well, but you know
some of the
what?
things
You
he
know
might,
what?
because he still has to make the call.
When it comes to Mark DeLong, I don't know what Wheeler's decision about that was, but there's a lot of classism in Portland.
Oh yeah.
And Ted Wheeler is going to choose people like Danielle Outlaw because they have college degrees and master's degrees and things like that. And I understand that, but Mark DeLong would have been a really good chief. He knows the business inside and out.
Well, hey, I will give. With all due respect, I will give him this credit. He selected someone.
Yeah,
Good
He
luck.
she
selected
has a
someone.
chance. I mean, we
He
definitely need to give
selected.
her a chance.
He selected her.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they've had some discussions. You got my point?
yeah.
And he said, "Hey, these are the orders I'm going to give you, and I'm here because at the end of the day, the buck is going to have to stop with me.
Yeah.
You got me?
Well,
And
yeah.
and so that's a fact.
Yeah.
And then now, when you start thinking about quote the black community, that's another issue because
She's got 2 sons, 2 teenage sons.
okay, but I'm just thinking about
So-
the black community
Yeah.
in terms of whether or not they support the selection that he made, and whether or not they will embrace her. And all
Well,
due
you know,
respect,
I was looking at Tressa Rayford's Instagram, and she seems to support it, but she's very guarded. You know, she says, "Let's wait and see." Basically, that was the gist of what she said. You know, because the bottom line is,
She's still a policeman.
Outlaw is a police.
She's a policeman.
She's a policeman, and
She's a police person.
and she's probably gonna, you know, be very supportive of the rank and file.
Well, I think
So-
the key to her, in all due respect, right up the front, who's going to be those deputy chiefs?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we need to
Who's
find that
going to
out.
be the deputy chiefs?
Yeah.
Her strength is going to rely on the deputy chief.
Right.
She got to pick the right 2 or 3,
Right.
and she got to get people that say, "Look,
See-
you do as I tell
Yeah.
you."
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Right,
exactly
Don?
right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's definitely her
And
first
her
job.
weakness,
And we
her,
give
her
it-
weakness, and it's a huge weakness, is she's not from here. Not that I even really care about
Well, that's
that.
what I'm saying, the deputies.
But she's going to come to Portland, and she's not going to know any of the people here, and she's not going to know the rivalries, the histories.
Oh, yes,
of
she will.
people.
You know why? How she going to do that?
It's going to take a long time for her
No,
to get
no,
to know
no. She's
that.
going to do it right here. Where the Voters Digest. We're going to have it right here. Richard's going to be here. Don's going to be here. You're going to be here. And I'm going to be here. And we're going to just educate. And all due respect, this would be a good vehicle for her.
I'm talking about the rank and file. I'm
Rank and
talking about
files?
the administrators, the sergeants, the lieutenants, the captains. She doesn't know the history of Portland Police
As
Bureau.
Bud Clark would always say, read my lips. Next. Remember that? He
Yeah.
was a mayor.
Right.
He made it very clear who was chief, who
Right.
was the
Who
mayor
was
of the
in-
city
yeah.
of Portland.
He was.
And in an indirect way, I'm saying that Wheeler did the same thing. He could have been an easy guy
This
and visit.
time.
He could have been an easy guy and gotten what the recommendation from the police to line
Right,
to.
right.
He didn't do that.
Right.
He said, "Read my lips.
But
This is going to be the chief of police."
do you-
Now that's a job.
yeah,
It's a job.
yeah.
I mean, imagine me. In all due respect, think about it. Imagine me, if through the election, I was elected mayor of the city of Portland. Imagine me, and then I bring Don along, and then hey, Don's making the decisions on anything that happens in the whole issue of police work. He's got the plan. He's got the layout. That's the way we're gonna go. Well, what do you mean? He just read my lips. You don't like the idea? Find yourself another job. And sometimes you have to be that way.
Right.
I mean, these are men and women. And they're paramilitary. A lot of them didn't go through the military, but a lot of them did.
Yeah.
They're Marines, they're Navy. The number of folks out there. They understand the chain of command.
Yeah.
But you've got to have someone that understands the chain of command, and they will tell them that.
Right.
That's why Potter was so he was a solid mayor when it came to the chief. That's why right up front with Potter was, and then you had Bud Clark, right? You had Bud Clark, and you got Steele. My point is that even though there might be some likes and dislikes about these guys, but they were strong mayors. It wasn't you do as I tell you, and if you don't like to doing it,
Yeah.
find yourself another job. Okay.
Yeah. And you have to be assertive like that.
You
if you're
got
gonna
to be.
a mayor.
You
Who
got
was
to be.
the mayor during Occupy?
Oh, wasn't
Occupy?
that? Oh gosh, who was that? That was
Park blocks,
that was 4 or
all
5 years
tents.
ago.
Was it?
tents.
Occupy when the parks were occupied.
Park blocks
wasn't
were
that
occupied
wasn't that
with
Charlie
tents.
Hales? That was Hales.
Oh, Hale. That was Hale.
Yeah, that was Hales.
That was Charlie Hale.
Right, Don?
Yeah.
It was
I
Charlie
don't know.
Hales.
I
right?
And that's when Cameron Whitten got the big
Right,
time.
right.
When he slept out there in the front of City Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, was he negotiating with the mayor at the time?
Yeah, that was Charlie Hales.
Okay, well,
But we
that
still
police chief, we came here.
right.
have talked to
So
you,
I think it's not a big deal in many ways of saying, don't do respect. You're right. We give her a chance, but no, it's the mayor made the decision. The mayor should be able to. In fact, I would like to invite the mayor to come here and just share his rationale. But right now, he's made the decision.
Right.
Now he knows, but at the same time, she's really not chief yet. So when some start talking about getting this background check, you know what happened to the superintendent of Portland Public School? They selected him, and
Oh, yeah,
this
that's
black guy,
right.
and the next thing you know, they say, "Whoa, gee whiz, you didn't tell us about that that bounce
I
check
don't-
when you're in college.
Right.
Yeah.
The bounce check in college. Exactly.
Leave me alone. I don't know of any college student that didn't.
I don't anticipate any problems with her background check. She's gonna do.
Well,
She's
knowing
she's
Will,
too clean. She's
well, knowing Willard's background as an accountant, so to speak, with the numbers, he know for fact. But my point is that I'm just saying, when I'm seeing, I'm just as a layperson, when I'm seeing that the police department said no, we're not going to do it, or we, you know, or they weren't going to do it fairly. You got me? So he went outside, maybe called up Governor Brown and said, hey, I may have an issue down here, and I need to do a little background check, and I want to make sure that it's on the record, routine. And she said, oh, fine, then you can use my state police.
Oh,
That's what I think happened.
Well, that's fine. There's no problem with having the state police and doing the investigation.
But don't you think, though, that she's clean? I mean, why make a statement about the fact that now they're going to go through a background check? Give me a break. We just went through a situation with the school district.
Yeah.
No, she's clean.
Yeah, because there's never been a whiff of controversy in Oakland about her, and she comes from a family of law enforcement officers, and I guess she was also in high school. She was what are they called?
Explorer Scout.
Explorer Scout in high school.
Wow.
So this is like what she's wanted to do her whole life.
Well, any time a person gets that kind of a job,
Yeah.
and we're still human beings. She's made some little frivolous kind of mistakes or whatever, but the fact of it is, she went through that process, and she's got that thing on the wall that says she can be a chief
Yeah.
of police, and he selected her. She was a chief there. She was a deputy chief.
Okay, but you made your point. We've got a new mayor. We got a new chief of police. Now they're at the trailhead. And if they don't do the right thing, it don't make no difference.
What do you mean?
Because he doesn't know how to reorganize the police department. And if she doesn't reorganize the police department, then it doesn't make any difference whether she's black or white or a woman or man.
What about the mayor?
The mayor is in the same situation.
So
If he doesn't understand how to do it,
So what do we
Right.
do?
the rank and file are not going to like her if she does the right thing, and they're not going to like her if they reorganize the police department.
And what if the mayor says, "Look here, read my lips. She's
That's
gonna be my chief."
Okay,
Now,
that's-
you got a problem?
You got a
then
problem.
find yourself
No.
another job.
the power of transfer.
What transfer?
The power of the transfer.
Transfer?
If you don't like the job, I'll transfer you to the waterfront,
That's
or
a
I'll
good-
transfer you to
Water
North
Bureau,
Precinct,
right, okay.
or I'll transfer you somewhere.
Yeah. But my point is that he just, like I said, I'm giving him a kudo on this one because
Yeah.
he made a selection.
Okay.
See, that's good.
That's all I'm saying.
But we're
That's
still,
good.
if you don't do the right thing from now on, you're dead in the
Well,
water.
They got a thing called recall.
And the,
Very
what
sad.
the
You got a thing
question
called
is
recall.
though, the
It's a lot of
question is
trouble for
what is the
Recall
right
the
thing?
water
kind of
license
thing.
The question is,
situation.
what is the right thing? This is the focus of the Department of Justice. Too much excessive force by police officers in Portland, and too many deaths involving mentally ill. So
Yep.
those are the focuses she's going to need to work on, and that's going to involve some kind of retraining of Portland police officers, and they may be amenable to it, and they may not. Apparently in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City Police Department has adopted some de-escalation techniques, and they haven't had a death in 2 years.
Yeah, but that's Salt Lake City. Those are a bunch.
We're
They're
Portland
Mormons.
Oregon.
They're
We're-
Mormons.
No, they have
Yeah, no,
they
no,
have
no.
problems.
That's
They have
not a good
methamphetamine.
analogy. They're Mormons.
No, they have methamphetamine problems. They have crime problems, just like Portland does.
Yeah.
But those are the issues. The issues are police brutality, accusations of excessive force, and too many deaths of the mentally ill in Portland. So she's got her work cut out for her.
One of the reasons they have excessive
right.
force complaints is because they don't use the chokehold.
I know.
They got to wrestle him to the ground, beat him up,
Yeah.
pig pile him. Gee, excessive force.
Right.
We didn't have that problem when I was a cop.
Yeah.
What'd you do,
The
Don?
chokehold.
The chokehold.
The chokehold.
Well, yeah, you got to stop.
But
No,
he
it
didn't do
came
the
to
chokehold.
way before the tasers who kill people.
Right.
Chokeholds don't kill people in that number.
Don
No, it's
didn't.
just-
Don didn't do the chokehold
No,
with the arm
I didn't
around the
wrestle
throat.
with people either.
He didn't do the arm around the throat. He
Well,
did the
he-
fingers in the throat like this.
Well,
And he didn't kill anyone. Nobody
well,
died.
the issue of Stevens, you know, the Marine, the African American
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Marine,
yeah.
when they basically, again, because he was an African American, right? You got me? The race issue got into the table, you know, so in regards to the chokehold aspect
Yeah.
of it. So it wasn't given the opportunity to really, Stevens, his name was Stevens. Yeah, he was a
Tony
Marine.
Lloyd Stevens.
Tony, yeah, he was a Marine, and he was a security guard. And he walked in this
1980s.
plaid pantry, and this particular guy was doing some things, and to the manager, and he tried to help him, assist him. And then
He
the police
tried
came
to-
in.
Yeah, there was a shoplifter.
Yeah, and the police came in, and all due respect, hey, you got a black guy and you got a white guy. Who's guilty? The black guy's guilty. I'm just saying. That's all. Yeah, no, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
But someone should have put that on the table and had that discussion.
Yeah.
But the race thing was such that they kept that divide,
Yeah.
and then it got into that tool, if you will, that Don is talking about, that didn't actually kill folks.
And Penny Harrington was the result of
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
being-
yeah.
Then Penny
She
Harrington.
was the
Remember
result
Penny
of
Harrington?
Going back a ways here.
And she was on for less than a year and was fired because her husband was a drug dealer.
Yeah, well,
So,
I mean, all
Yeah.
kinds of things happen.
yeah.
Well, we're going into that with the Black and Blue report.
No. What you get is the book. The book. You see what I'm saying? But no, we're not trying to make any fun of this deal. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm still coming back to the same thing, that he's the mayor of the city of Portland. He got elected. It's done. He's picked himself a chief of police. We need to welcome her here.
Yeah.
We need to all work together. You got my point.
Okay.
And in all due respect, I'm gonna put a little bit more stuff on Daryl. He's an African American. She happens to be an African American. That's just
Yeah.
another tool that he
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
I think he should embrace her. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, we said that when we was running. As far as I'm concerned, I said, well, look, after we got through this business, I said, hey, I even told Daryl, I said, why don't you apply for the chief of police? I even texted.
They all should have a honeymoon time
That's right.
when everything's perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
And then it blows up after
Yes,
that.
exactly. Because we got these other issues too that we're dealing with. We got young people that are out there on the streets.
Yeah.
And-
Well, the opportunity of having Danielle Outlaw as chief of police is that she will be able to create effective change within the department. She'll be able to recruit more people of color, and the crime situation in Portland with gangs and just crime in general will hopefully be lessened, and hopefully she can address the excessive force complaints and also do some things to help the mentally ill. We've got this huge problem with mentally ill, and heroin is so big in Portland right now.
That's all over the country.
Yeah, it's so big in
That's
Portland.
huge. Opioids are big time.
So
You said something about her probably recruiting more people of color. But in all due respect, attrition. Was it attrition or what was it? Was it assimilation?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Well, Daryl has done a lot for that. Daryl Turner, because he happens to be the union chief. They got a lot of respect for Daryl, and he happens to be a person of color. And trust me, he has issues too. Out and even where he's living, a lot of times some folks will challenge him and do some racist thing about his stuff, about his family and stuff like that. But the point of the matter is, he has gotten respect, if you will, from the line troop.
Sure.
That's good. Now, if she will just come and set an example because of who she is and her background, then that helps. But just putting something in her face and say, well, okay, you got to go hire. Like, for instance, say maybe some more African American leaders say, well, you got to hire more blacks. Or the Hispanic folks are saying, well, look here, we want sanctuary city and we don't want under this stuff. This is what you got to do. No, all she has to do is be a chief of police. And she's working for the mayor.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the city of Portland.
And the city of Portland. No, we're the city of
people.
Portland.
Right, the people.
We're the
of
people.
Portland.
All we want
The
is
citizens.
whether you voted for him or you didn't, the score is 1-0. He won. So he is the mayor of the city of Portland.
Yeah.
So I think we need to slow down a little bit and let it happen for a minute. I mean, I had my issues with the guy. I mean, I've talked about this.
I'm more cynical about Ted Wheeler than you are. I think that he chose Danielle Outlaw primarily to save his own skin. I really do.
Yeah, but guess what though? He had to do something.
Yeah.
And then
Because
he did it.
If he didn't resist Portland resistance and don't shoot Portland, we're gonna just continue to chip away at him and harass him. And I really think a part of it was he's trying to save his career.
Well, he just got the whole issue with the 48. That was the other thing, the 48-hour deal.
Yeah.
Remember the 48-hour deal?
Oh, yeah.
What happened with that?
He pushed that. Guess what?
Yeah.
Well, the DA threw that out. But guess what though? We paid a lot for that.
Mm-hmm.
The department got a raise. Now my point is that if you throw the 48 hours, do I get my money back?
Right.
Taxpayers.
It really shows people in Portland how powerless they are, how they just really, the people of Portland really don't matter when it comes to those kinds of decisions. It's frustrating.
The 48-hour rule is a red herring. It has no meaning whatsoever. The only thing that the Bureau can do is they can order me to appear here today.
Right.
They cannot order me to talk. So what's the point of the 48-hour rule?
Yeah.
Any smart cop isn't going to talk.
Oh.
So 48-hour rule, who cares?
Yeah.
So it's a red herring. It's something it's a negotiation tool that never made any difference in the first place and doesn't make any difference now.
I think one of the things, and I really appreciate you, Don, for the time that we've been together. You've educated me real well. And in all due respect, I remember a guy named Smitty tried to get me on the force.
Yeah.
And I told him I couldn't, there's no way in the world I was going to do the Miranda rights. I mean, I'm going to do a job on you. You're not going to spit on me. So I couldn't, that was something I wasn't going to deal with.
And you know, that's an interesting point, the Miranda rights, because Don had been a cop for 5 years when they were created in '66. And before that, they never did. And I remember he was saying how when that change came around, all the cops were like, what? We have to read people their rights and we have to carry this card around. And yeah, but
my point is that we need to really spend more time educating the public about what police work is. But the paperwork they normally have to fill out every time they do something this way. I mean, and there's a lot of other stuff. And then you got to understand, when a person gets shot by someone, it really hits that person big time. There's a lot of stress. It's called PTSD. They're finally understanding what that's all about. But it's not trying to be a goody-goody guy about this stuff. At my age factor aspect of it, hey, look, I just want to be safe. I don't want no problems.
right.
I pay my taxes.
You know, I have a question that's really been bothering me after seeing so many problems of police pulling people over.
Right.
And that is, what are you supposed to do with your hands? How do you stay out of trouble?
This. Keep your hands visible where the cops can see them. No sudden moves. Don't reach forward, because I've seen some videos on YouTube. I mean, these cops, they're out-of-state cops. They're not Portland cops, but the things they've done are insane.
Oh, yes. Oh,
you know,
yes.
Philandro Castro, I mean, that situation was ridiculous. There was another situation that happened, you know, get me your ID. And the guy's reaching for his ID, and then he's like, hey, wait, and they shoots him. I mean, it's like, come on.
So what do they do? What's the answer to that?
Keep your hands in where the policeman can see it.
But you're told to get your license?
But see, that's the thing. Those situations are less than 1%.
Yeah.
They're so rare. But they're the scenarios that we see on YouTube. And so a lot of people think all cops are doing that. They're not. 95% of cops are doing their job. They're doing a good job. And they're not shooting and killing people after they tell them,
but
let me see your ID.
Cops don't snitch on another.
Right.
That's the other problem that's in
Generally,
there.
yeah.
They just don't snitch. They do not.
Yeah.
Hey, look here. You protect my back, I'll protect your back.
Right.
I mean, in all due respect, we did it in the service.
Yeah, but that's not the question, remember. The question is, what does a person do? The driver.
I understand
Keep your
that.
hands in
That's
sight.
why
My license is in my pocket.
Will you get it for me?
Will you get it for me?
Right.
I have a gun in the console right here. I want you to know that.
Actually, what you're supposed to do is, if you have a weapon and you have a permit to carry, you're supposed to put your hands on the dashboard. You're supposed to put them right there, and then you're supposed to say, I have a weapon in the car. I have a permit to carry. There is a weapon in the car, and you're really supposed to keep your hands there until they tell you to exit the vehicle. Yeah.
I can also say that I see these videos on YouTube.
Right.
And most of them are training films on how not to do police work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so they're not good examples of what pull people over and shoot people. That's
Right.
and it's training films on how not to do police work.
And it's important to remember, people see those videos and people think this is what all cops do.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Because
that's not true. You know, we have to remember that. Those are situations, they're less than 1%.
And the reason why why it's so confused, we don't teach it in the schools anymore. The kids today is far different than when we were going to school. And we were getting the training because we had career day.
Right.
We had police, the whole 9 yards.
Learn how to march.
But the whole 9 yard, okay? I mean, it was kind of like something to be, if you will, to be a cop, if you will, in many ways.
Maybe that's what the schools should do.
Yeah, but they're not doing it.
Teach.
That's right.
Teach people do what the police officer says.
And this is the reason
there
why.
are-
This
yeah.
is why you have to do this. This is not because the police say do it. This is something that we signed off through the process and said this is what they do when you stop a car and you ask for this. This is not something that they created. And so you got to make that clear. And then at the same time, the police need to know that if you're caught doing it something differently, guess what? You get busted or
This
something.
is the thing. This is the thing about what you're saying. That's a really good point, Richard.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are a lot of videos and websites that offer information about how to conduct yourself after you've been pulled over by a police officer. But what we really need, we need billboards.
Yep.
Billboards
Good.
near
Really?
highways.
Yeah,
If
educate.
you're pulled over by a police officer, keep your hands where they can see them.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. Don't be
Communicate.
sarcastic. Don't be aggressive. Because police officers will interpret that aggression as a potential threat.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
A lot of folks
we
don't
need
have it.
billboards. We need billboards in Portland. You know.
Then a lot of folks, especially young folks, they may have smartphones, but
Yeah.
they're not looking at no education films.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you said, I like that. The visuals would be good. Put it in the classroom. The classroom.
Yeah.
Somebody
Have teachers
in
yeah.
a uniform,
Yeah.
uniformed policeman
Yeah.
coming into the classroom, so folks know that it's not a scare tactic. But because there's some heavy stuff out there.
And they do that. Police officers do that.
And there could be problems at home that where they said, well, just stay away from police or do this or
Right.
do that.
Right.
You know, and you might have seen this too. That's the other
scared
thing.
of 'em.
I want to throw this
Right.
out to you just to show you how we're going down the road of this stuff, and it's not helping our image here in the Portland area about the i.e. the whitest city, all that kind of good
Right.
stuff. The first post I saw in regards to her, in fact, Don commented, but that first one was a musician guy, and he called her a hoe.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah.
He called her a hoe on Facebook.
And-
then I
and-
started thinking
and-
about.
yeah.
I started thinking about. Well, now wait a minute. Facebook should have caught that
Right.
because they catch other
Yeah.
things, and they, if they don't like you, because they got folks looking at what you do, right, to a
Right.
certain degree. But they called her a hoe. They said hoe something blah blah blah. You can check it out. I was going to pull it out there for the
Yeah.
show, but see, you can't do that.
Well, that
Shouldn't do that.
harkens back to the people in Portland, the vocal minority, the anarchists, those people in Portland who absolutely hate law enforcement,
Yeah.
no matter what
Yeah.
they do, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their color is. They hate law enforcement. They hate police officers. They are deluded and really believe that they're all corrupt. They're all stealing. They're all raping. They're all these devils, and it's ridiculous because it's just not factual.
And that right, and that's bad for a person to believe that when they're in a car and they're being told to present their license or whatever it is that the police
Yeah.
officer wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we agree. We got about 10 minutes. So now
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about this, that, and the other, and I think that's hopefully the folks will take this show. It'll be on YouTube, and we're going to get that posted, and hopefully the media, if you will get the show, and do something, due diligence, if you will, and do an honest due diligence, and look at some of the things that we were talking about tonight, and go out and do interview some folks, if you will, because we're the public. All we want is safety and this, that, the other. You got my point? You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, and the mayor is understanding this. Mayor, you have to stick by your guns now. You're the mayor of the city of Portland, and you made a decision.
Yeah.
And it's all you. The buck stops with you. I'm giving you that respect. Now you're gonna have to deal with it. You got to deal with the protesters, and I would say too, there were some things that were happening in the initial committee, if you will, in the selection process. And I would agree they should have had some of the protesters on those committees. I don't know if they were on there. Was any of those folks
They
on?
had some people from the community. They had a woman from the Lentz community and several other people, but none of the there was no one from Portland Resistance or from Don't Shoot Portland, I don't believe.
And it should have been an open transparency. He should have come down right here at
Yeah.
cable and just put the
Yeah.
whole committee around and have the discussion.
They should have had all the names of the people listed.
No, I want
Yeah.
the faces. I want to see
Yeah.
the faces of the people having that discussion about
Okay.
what they felt
I
about the
agree.
selection of a chief.
I agree.
You see what I mean?
Paper can do that.
He should have done that.
Yeah.
He should have done
He
that.
should have been more
Yeah.
transparent. I
and
agree.
in fact, in all due respect, and it's not too late. I think it's not too late. I think he should have that discussion with the
3
chief.
months.
And he introducing all the committee folks and whatever. Well, this is what we're doing. And then have them all raise their hand in terms of who supports it.
Right. I agree, because I remember reading about that, and the last couple weeks I've been like, why aren't they sharing the names? Why is
That's
everything
right.
so secretive? Why aren't the people of Portland being allowed to know what's going on? Why the secrecy? I resent that.
Yeah, that's
I really do.
Really sad. No, because the people who are demonstrating on the street, that's the issue. I want someone that can communicate with those folks.
Yeah.
You got me? That's what I've been doing. I mean, that's what we do. We do this right on Village Digest. And but the bottom line, if someone is commanding, if you will, a group of people to demonstrate, I want to talk to that person. Give them the opportunity to express themselves. Whether you like them or not, that's not the issue. The fact of the matter is, when they're demonstrating downtown, it's taxpayers' dollars. They shouldn't be doing that. But the bottom line, the only way you're going to find out is to sit them at the table in a public venue and say, hey.
Well, the other thing I would like to mention is that the reality is, the Portland Police Bureau is always going to be here. Police departments are always going to exist.
Yeah, you got to have one.
And I'm saying this in reference to Joanne Hardesty running for.
Let's talk about that a little bit. But she spent a lot of time in the OVD police.
We saw her a couple of years ago at Race Talks, and she was talking about how all police departments should be dismantled and replaced with citizen groups that would do police work. And I mean, it's so ridiculous that, I just have to bring that up. It's ludicrous. And I lost tremendous respect for her, because when she said those things, and she said it repeatedly on social media and at various Race Talks meetings, the fact is, that's never going to happen. No. That's never going to happen. We need to be realistic about the world. Dismantling police departments, that's never going to happen.
She also doesn't understand about the 48-hour rule either. She's misinformed about that. You can't make people talk.
Right.
Unless you're considering waterboarding.
Right.
So,
well, in all due respect, Don.
I'm not going to talk to you.
In all due respect, you can't even make people talk if you're not a cop.
Yeah, that's right.
Let alone just as part of the job aspect of it. You got to understand. When people do wrong, they don't sit there and be nice to you by telling you this is why I did something wrong.
Another thing is that when police officers are accused of any misconduct, they have the legal right to have confidentiality respected. They have right to privacy. And I think more people need to understand that police officers have the same rights as American citizens as anyone else. Someone working for a plumbing company or General Electric or whatever, they have the same rights to privacy while those investigations are being conducted. And that's just the way it is.
Well, that's why the union exists. Let's be right up front. That's why the union exists. That's why this thing comes up from the standpoint that the police is running the city. They basically say, hey, look at it, we got to do something to protect ourselves. I mean, I realize we have the 5%ers and that, and the other, but that's a weeding out process, exposure type deal. That's some things that we could do, if you will, to maybe get those folks out. But that's not an easy task. Folks get in and they're just human like anybody else. They have marital problems. They have kid problems.
And the other thing is that police work is the toughest job in the world, and it is utterly thankless. They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. And so many of these young critics, they have valid complaints about racism, about excessive force, about the mentally ill dying too often. But most of them don't know police officers. And if they did, if they considered them as human beings and got to know them personally, they would learn to like them. They would realize they bleed red blood like everyone.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting if you'd ask any of the leaders or anybody who's in charge of this, that, and that, say, well, I tell you what, why don't you become a policeman?
Right.
I'll cut the red tape and I'll put a uniform on you. I'll put a uniform on you, and I want you to come over here in this particular group over here, and I want you just to police that group.
If you want to see a really good video on YouTube about a local Portland citizen taking a Citizens Academy class and tanking Jesse Sponberg.
Oh, Jesse.
Jesse Sponberg took this class with some Portland Police Bureau trainers, and it is really funny to watch it because he did everything wrong. and it really, and he's been one of the biggest critics of Portland police, and yet he couldn't even do, they went through several scenarios. He did everything wrong. He was using excessive force. He was, pulling his pretend gun too soon. He did everything wrong. That video, it's on YouTube. It's an informative video because it shows this Portland activist, and he's a great guy. He does a lot of good work, but it shows him tanking during this pretend class, this Citizens Academy training, and basically just it illustrates how difficult it is to be mindful of what's going on and not overreact.
Tough job.
Yeah, and
Well, he did. Like I said, in all due respect, if I had my choice at the time, he ran for mayor.
Yeah, I know.
Imagine if he put a mayor hat on him. It'd be like night and day, if you understand what I'm saying. My point is that once you put that hat on, and you got that responsibility, I mean, we've done that in the service. I mean, that's the whole idea. When you put a hat on a group of guys, and when you pick them out for corporal or this, that, and the other, or first class, or
they
this,
become
that,
the hat.
it's a whole different ball game. And as if to say, well, I didn't know he had in it, but guess what? He's in charge.
Yeah.
And I got to do the job.
Well, I don't know. I really don't think he would be mayor material because he's got addiction
But
issues.
he has a right. No, he has a right.
Right, but he's got addiction issues, and he's a little too emotionally volatile.
Yeah, but he's got a following. I mean,
He does. He has a following.
If he got a following, maybe we might be able to get to him to tell him.
So did Manson.
No, we can't compare him.
Well, we
Can't compare him to
we
Manson.
gotta-
He's a good guy. He does a lot of good things. But my
Oh,
point
yeah.
was, this video of him on YouTube shows him tanking during this Citizens Academy training, and it really illustrates how difficult it is to learn these skills. It's
Okay.
called police science for a reason.
Okay.
You know.
Well, we got 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's just go around the table and give a last commentary
let 'em
about.
Tell us what they're all about.
Yeah, right. What do you think about the police deal? What do you think now?
Me?
I mean, where are we going now?
I think that we need to give Danielle Outlaw a chance, and she's got, just like Daryl Turner said, she's got big shoes to fill.
Right.
Because I personally believe, I didn't like Mike Marshman, but he does have more experience than she does. But we need to give her a chance, and hopefully hopefully things will work out well. So.
Why do
Don?
these guys keep leaving?
Huh? Well, that's about
Good places. Why do they keep taking off?
It would be interesting if you had to talk with her. Trust
Good
me.
pension.
Marriages, pension, get another job. Don, what do you think? Real
Good
quick.
pension. Well, I think she's here. She needs to have an opportunity to do the right thing. But if she doesn't make changes in the police department, which are desperately needed,
Right.
it's not going to make any difference whether she's white or black or
Right,
male or
right.
female.
Right.
If she
Okay.
doesn't fix
Yeah.
the problem,
Right.
she's irrelevant.
I agree.
My last little piece is that she needs to make sure she get her 2 top deputy chiefs
Right.
Okay.
on the force.
Right.
I'd go back to Marshman right now and say, Marshman, come on back here, buddy.
Right.
I want you to be number 1.
Right.
Okay? And then I'll pick up this one. What's this other guy that was
DeLong.
DeLong.
Mark DeLong.
I'd get Mark DeLong and say, okay, fine, you're going to be number 2 deputy chief. And then now we're going to work.
Well, these 2 guys have the most experience. They would
Well,
be ideal
hey.
as support for her.
And they're staff material.
Right,
It's-
right.
Okay, we got
Okay.
30 seconds, and I want to
Go
make
on.
sure we appreciate the crew
Oh,
that
yes.
has made
Thank
this show
you.
possible.
man,
Yes.
Really?
One of them, I know, I got suspect on one of them.
Okay.
But he runs everything,
It's nice to
It's a
have
good
professional
crew.
help.
Yes.
It is.
They are.
It's nice
They're
to have
awesome.
This is really
professional help.
professional.
They're awesome.
And I try
mean-
to follow instructions. I try to be quiet
Good
and not
folks.
rattle the table.
Well, again,
Yeah.
thanks very much, Richard.